One of the problems that plagues our writing, again, understand this in context because our writing is well ahead of where other classes have been in the past. So this is not necessarily something you're doing wrong. This is something you could be doing better. We're pushing 9th grade, 10th grade level skills right now. Many of you are using too much quoted material. For example, many of you said that Mr. Van Don is selfish because he sneaks down to the cupboard to steal the food. And as evidence, you offered 5 sentences. A match suddenly flares up in the attic. We dimly see Mr. Van Don. He is getting his bearings. He comes quickly down the stairs and goes to the cupboard where the food is stored. Again, the match flares up and is as quickly blown out. 5 sentences is far too much for 2 reasons. First of all, the state of Ohio has a formula that they use. Your essays on the state test this year are going to be graded by a computer. And one of the first things that computer does is it goes through and analyzes to see how much of your essay is copied text, stuff that you've taken directly from the source, and how much you've written yourself. And once it gets to a certain percentage, it just kicks your essay out. It doesn't allow you, it won't score it because it's calling it plagiarism. So we need to be very careful for that reason about how much quoted material we use. But from a more practical perspective, something that's going to follow you through all of your writing, everything you do in college, so forth, is the fact that you have 5 different ideas in these 5 different sentences. And there's only one idea you want to focus on. And that idea is that he is going to the cupboard where the food is stored. We don't care about the match. We don't care about dimly seeing Mr. Van Don. We don't care whether there's stairs or not. The only thing we care about is that he is going to the cupboard to steal the food. So if we want to make our point about him being selfish for stealing the food, then just focus on that element of the quote. So if we're just focusing on that element of the quote, then we don't, and this is another element, we don't want to just use a full quotation as a sentence in our paragraph. We want to write a quotation, a part of a sentence, quotation, into our own sentence. We need to integrate it the same way we would integrate dialogue when we wrote the narrative. So the sentence of my own, you see in yellow here, late one night while everyone is sleeping, Mr. Van Daan sneaks down to, and then you see the quote, the cupboard where the food is stored. So I have reduced that from 5 sentences to 7 words. And while we're talking about that, let's talk about the parenthetical citation that's required here. Regardless of what goes in it, there are different ways, because we've done page numbers and we've done act, scene, and paragraph, and that's the most precise here, but that's not even my point. My point is that the parenthetical citation has to be placed in the proper place in the sentence. So the parenthetical citation is a part of the sentence. It has to go before the period that ends that sentence. But it is not a part of the quotation. There's no parenthetical in that quotation. So you have to end that quotation first to show that you've stopped copying the info from the text. Then you place your parenthetical citation, and then you add the period here at the end. I'm not sure if that is the end. Okay. One other element here, and this will be the last thing for this video, is that I saw a number of quotations this time that did not match the original text. A quotation has to match the original text exactly. If you're putting it in quotation marks, then it has to be exactly the same. In newspapers and magazines, which I know you guys don't read very often, but in newspapers and magazines, they will actually indicate that they have copied something exactly, even if it has a mistake in it. So if somebody uses the wrong form of the word your in a letter and they're quoting that letter, they'll use the exact same wrong form of the word your, and then they'll put in brackets right after it, they'll put the Latin abbreviation SIC. You don't need to know what that means, but that indicates to the reader, hey, I know that's a mistake. I know that's not the right form of your, but I'm obligated to copy exactly. So you must copy exactly. Now, I've indicated with the second bullet here, there actually is a way that would allow you to change a word or phrase. I don't think we need it right now. Um, I think we can manipulate the size of the quote that we're using and get around that. And again, this is super sophisticated. This is something that is typically a college, upper high school or college thing. But for now, just know that what you put in that quotation has to be an exact match for what's in the original text.